Just before Easter of 1945, Nimitz's ships hit Okinawa. All told, 183,000 troops participated in this epic landing, with the heaviest naval support in the Pacific. Okinawa represented the final, but by no means the easiest obstacle on the road to Japan. As the troops streamed inland from the beaches, the opposition stiffened. It was the last ditch for the Japanese. American casualties were high at Okinawa. But for men who had carried their strength and their faith so far in the 3½ years since Pearl Harbor, victory was now in sight. Okinawa became the death rattle of the Japanese resistance. With one last convulsive effort, enemy pilots drove their deadly planes at our fleet, but we were ready. In June, it ended. 4,000 enemy aircraft had found their graves, and the only fire in the skies now came from the setting sun. Nimitz went ashore at Okinawa to view the remains. The hope and confidence which had been born at the Coral Sea and Midway during the dark and doubtful days of 1942 were here fulfilled. These were the men who had suffered the hardships of Guadalcanal and the frustration of New Guinea. Men who had brought in ringing victories in the Philippines and on the tiny island of Iwo Jima. This was their final triumph. Okinawa, the doorsill of Japan. At Manila, Nimitz conferred with MacArthur on the work yet to be done. The concentrated naval and ground forces of the Allies were preparing for the final assault on the Japanese home islands. From long experience, both Nimitz and MacArthur expected that the Japanese would fight until driven into the sea. But the Japanese did not. With their military and naval might smashed beyond recovery, with their cities bombed to rubble, the enemy surrendered unconditionally. For Fleet Admiral Chester Nimitz, it was a solemn moment, a moment of grave reflection. Upon his return, a jubilant nation greeted him. A day was named in his honor, and the whole city of Washington turned out to say thanks. Crowds jammed the streets to get a glimpse of the man who had done so much to bring them victory. At the Capitol building, he went before a special joint session of Congress where he expressed his feelings to the assembled lawmakers.
I am sensible of the fact that I do not come here as an individual, and I acknowledge at the outset that I am here only as a representative of the brave men who fought under my command in the Pacific. Some of them are here with me today. I pray that no future war may ever again find us unprepared. Most of all, I pray that such a war does not begin and end to our disadvantage before we can even begin to fight. This need not happen to us. It will not happen to us if we exercise our intelligence, our vigilance, and use our good, plain common sense and keep our fighting forces ready.
The Admiral's welcome had its lighter side when he smoked the pipe of peace before beginning his new role as America's post-war Chief of Naval Operations. From Admiral Richard Byrd, the new chief received a briefing on the 1946 Navy expedition to the South Pole. One of the many honorary degrees he received was awarded in a colorful ceremony with other naval and military figures at Columbia University in 1947. After his tour as Chief of Naval Operations ended in 1948, Nimitz accepted a United Nations appointment as plebiscite administrator for Kashmir. Few of Nimitz's experiences with the United Nations yielded more pleasure than a visit from members of the Japanese Diet. Our one-time enemy had become our friend, and the man who had been instrumental in their defeat joined in welcoming them to the community of free nations. In 1951, Nimitz was still not ready to relax. After he resigned his United Nations post, President Truman appointed him chairman of a special commission on internal security. In the Berkeley Hills, not far from San Francisco, Nimitz lives quietly with his wife, but he continues to be active in naval affairs by serving as a special assistant to the Secretary of the Navy. A weather vane with 5 stars and a submarine replica are all that mark the Admiral's quarters. There is still much to keep him busy, and for the first time in many years, he also finds an opportunity to enjoy his garden. Nimitz is still bound to the sea and to the great American naval tradition. His contribution in strategy and leadership will be long remembered in the Navy, and his personal example admired by all men who follow the sea.
The Big Picture is an official report for the armed forces and the American people. Produced by the Army Pictorial Center. Presented by the Department of the Army in cooperation with this station.